But let's get into the second third of these rankings. Starting off is number 20 at the 20. I messed it up right there. There you go. Yes, it's not perfect. At 20, the Detroit Pistons. At number 19, the Portland Trailblazers. At number 18, we have the Sacramento Kings. At 17, we have the Utah Jazz. At number 16, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Number 15, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. At number 14, we have the extremely overrated Los Angeles Lakers. At number 13, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. At number 12, we have the Denver Nuggets. And rounding out this second third, at number 11, we have the Miami Heat. And I want to start off with the Lakers. And I think that they are completely overrated. And I think some of this goes to Ricky having Lonzo Ball as a top 10 player.
But it's not, because, I mean, if you look at it, Brolo was their highest. And then you also had their sixth man, their small forward, and their power forward all were higher ranked than Lonzo Ball. Got them more points than Lonzo did.
But I still feel like Lonzo should have been in that lower half or the lower third.
Is it Lonzo that was too high? Or like Dave said before we recorded, was Brandon Ingram too high?
I think both could be honestly argued. But the fact that Brandon at least can show, like, you're expecting a rookie to be a top 10 point guard. If you ranked him normally, he would have been like in the 20s, and that would have given you 8 points, and they would have
still been in this bracket.
They would have still been in this bracket,
lower in the bracket,
but they would have been much lower. I mean, you're saying they're a top half team this year.
This goes to what we said in the first segment. Like, just because the Lakers are ranked 14th on our rankings doesn't mean that they're going to be an automatic playoff team. But you look at this team, and I think what this ranking is indicative of is. You look at LA.
Just been reading the dictionary.
You look at LA. What's all the hype been around? The young talent and then LeBronzo. Like, that's it. Did you
just call him LeBronzo?
Yeah. He's combining because next year.
Yeah, because it's from the Herd. If you listen to the Herd, you would understand.
There's a reason I don't, because it's awful.
That's what I think this is showing is there's a hype in LA right now. And will the Lakers be a playoff team? Probably not. Could they be a top 5 pick? Probably so. But there's going to be hype around this team. There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason why there's so much hype and why everyone's crazy about Lonzo.
What do you think is more likely, that they make the playoffs or that they miss completely and are a bottom 5 team this year?
Bottom 5 team.
I think they'll be.
It's the West.
No, it's not, Ricky. It's not in the middle.
No.
It's will they be a playoff team or bottom?
If I had to pick those two, I would say bottom 5 team. I don't think.
Unless he plays like prime Jason Kidd. In his rookie year, Brandon Ingram learns how to shoot the ball.
You know what I would love to do, and I'm not.
No, they're not a playoff team.
I thought about this. I thought about Bulls in them. Remember last year with the Bulls, where I was like, Bulls are an 8 seed, and both of you said I was wrong, but I ended up being right. I've been thinking all off season.
It's in a bad Eastern Conference too.
Yeah, but I was thinking all off season.
West.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put the Lakers in at 8. I'm going to put them in at 8. But the more I think about it, the West is a lot tougher. They're not going to make the playoffs. If I had to pick out of those two, I'd say bottom 5. But I think the Lakers are going to be a team where it's like, they're not a playoff team, but they're getting there to where they just need some pieces, some stars.
Dave, since you mentioned it, I want to read off a stat line. I want to tell you if Lonzo Ball has this stat line, will the Lakers be a playoff team? 11.7 points per game, 7.7 assists, 1.9 steals, 5.4 rebounds per game, shoots 27% from 3 and 38% from the field. Will they be a playoff team?
That's a big no.
They would not be. So if he averages 11, 7, and 5, they would not be a playoff team.
No.
Can I take a guess that this player did make the playoffs?
No, I don't know if they made the playoffs or not. It was Jason Kidd's rookie season. So that's what Jason Kidd did in his rookie season. What does Lonzo need to do?
No, that's why I said Jason Kidd's prime.
Okay, so he would need to...
Yeah, that's why I was like, not Jason Kidd's rookie season. I said he would have to play out like Jason Kidd's prime.
So 18, 8, and 6, and then shoot 34% from the field and 41% from the field. 34 from 3 and then 41% from the field.
Yeah, that would probably get them very close to the playoffs.
Really? Even with that crazy of a performance, I mean, that would probably make him the best player on the team. Because he brings that much playmaking ability.
Yeah, absolutely would.
So he needs to be the best player on the team for them to be in the playoffs?
This year, absolutely.
All right, I'm just wondering.
I think it's one of those cases where we know Brook Lopez can't be the best player on a playoff team. That's a fact. We watched what he did without talent in Brooklyn for enough years. I don't want to rewatch that.
But there's different amounts of talent here. He is the best player on this team according to our rankings.
He is.
But he's not too far behind, as they are a top 15 team in the league according to these rankings.
To go off of your little history thing, just so you know, that was when Kidd was on the Mavericks. They went 36 and 46 that year.
Think that happens.
Yeah, I mean, if he balls out to that extent, yeah, I could see them winning them 8 games. But
Like
it's just,
35 to 36 games?
yeah, but I don't expect it. I think it's close to that first stat line you read.
Well, let's put it this way. Last year they did win 26. And I know last year they did come out, and they came out hot.
I say,
and then
look
it was
when
tank mode.
half of their wins happened.
Yeah.
In the first month of the season. First month and a half
Could
of
it
the
happen
season.
again?
Yeah,
Could they
I mean,
come
this
out and
is-
play hot again?
This is a younger team with a
With less talent. Would
Would you say they're less talent?
They had Lou Williams and Swaggy P shooting over 45%
And
for
D'Angelo.
a month of the and D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
All of them were shooting over 40% from 3. This was a very much a altered Warrior system, and they were on fire. Like, I don't think that if you look at the second half of their season, that's the Lakers.
Well, that was all they were.
that's
They
the
were
Lakers.
tanking. They were tanking for Lonzo.
And one thing,
too.
I want to bring up. Like
No, but that's real.
last year the Lakers were 25th, so
Yeah.
they've made an 11-point jump, and that's with their highest ranked player last year being, I believe, their 6th man, who was Sweet Lou,
Yep.
and he got 24 points there. And I believe that also meant Luke Walton has taken a 2-point jump apparently as well in our coaches because he went from 13 points on this
because
to
he's
15
actually
points.
coached the game at this point.
There we go. So, I mean, I think there was. I think going back to the original question of where the Lakers would finish, either playoffs or bottom 5.
Yeah.
I think bottom 5 is closer. But like Ricky said, I think this team could be around 30 to 32 wins this season.
I would be surprised if they get that high. I think they're, and I'm arguing a couple of games here and there. I know.
I think they
whatever.
can.
Well, and
I
we
think they
don't
can get
know-
to 26 wins.
I think the line is probably about 27.
And we don't know what's going to come from the only other guy. Like, I know they've got the big thing is young talent. Like, Josh Hart's a guy I love. Love Josh Hart.
but Josh Hart, I don't know if he's going to bring
It's
that
on
much.
Kuzma.
Exactly. That's who I'm thinking. What are they going to get from Kuzma, who I know it's summer league
25
and it's different.
a game.
No, not that. Don't be ridiculous. But we're all talking about Lonzo Ball. What if Kuzma comes out in this season and contributes and gets some
he'll get
quality
minutes. He'll get minutes.
No, I'm talking quality minutes where it's like it's not a joke having him out there on the court. And if him and LeBron, I'm calling him Lonzo Ball, if they create a chemistry and this young team, like, I don't think it's that crazy to say, yeah, the Lakers at best can add 10 more wins from last season.
You seem to be high on Kuzma.
I am.
You're very low on Julius Randle.
I am.
Do you think Kuzma takes over Julius Randle's spot and succeeds really Larry Nance Jr. as well?
I don't think so. I think Julius Randle at least has a decent body of work down low, and Kuzma is an amazing shooter. So it's a different game style, and I think it's going to play heavily into where Luke Walton wants to go with this, because Kuzma was a solid passer as well. So I think Kuzma fits better. He's a closer version of shitty Draymond.
I was about to say,
Then-
is he Draymond who can't play great defense?
Yeah, he's a better shitty Draymond than Randall. So I think that would be an interesting lineup to run with him at the 4. I would love to see that. I think that Nance is a more complete player, but I think his top end is below Kuzma's. I think Kuzma just has electric shooting, and he can play either the 3 or the 4. He gives them good versatility. I just think that this kid, very, very high upside for somebody who's taken so late in the draft, and I really hope he proves a lot of people wrong.
Well, and one thing I want to bring up now, and going back to what we did in the first segment of this, is kind of putting these teams into buckets and saying which teams are possible playoff teams, which teams are mediocre, and which teams, if any, are bad teams in this. Looking at this, do you see any bad teams out of this heap, or do we see pretty much decent teams in all of these? Or mediocre teams?
I want to shit on the Pistons still. I can't.
Would
but
you?
I want to.
Would you say they're god awful?
I mean, where did they
No,
finish
not-
last year?
Not god awful.
Well, I mean, what they were last year, 10th seed in the East.
They were 10th. They 37 and 45, and they were in that 3-dog race until the Bucks pulled ahead and the Pistons fell off, and then it became a Bulls.
Yeah, so I mean, they're still the
race for
worst
the
team
eighth.
out of the 10 here. I think that we nailed right for some weird reason.
I would say the Mavericks are my team to where it's like not going to do so great this year, and I probably don't have them being
why
anywhere
is
near
that?
the playoffs. I just think like the thing with the Mavericks is I know we got a comment last week where it's like expect Carlisle. It was something like expect Carlisle to get this team back to the playoffs, and then he'll be number 2 in your rankings. Which I looked at and I was like, maybe number 2 a little high for Carlisle. They're an extremely well coached team. They do have they had Dirk that was high in our rankings, and I'm trying to think for small
Harrison
forward.
Barnes.
Harrison Barnes, who was high in their
deservedly
ranking.
is there.
But like the rest of the team, I mean, yeah, Yogi Ferrell
Yogi
balled
Ferrell.
out, but what are you expecting from Dennis Smith Jr. this season?
Yeah.
Well, apparently not much because he wasn't that high in the rankings.
He was right
We
towards
tried-
below
He was
middle.
19.
You and I tried to rank rookies as rookies, and maybe that was wrong of us.
Yeah, we somehow I think Markel
I
Fultz
didn't
is our
have-
lowest ranked rookie.
I didn't have Dennis Smith
No.
that high.
Who did you have really high? We just talked about him.
Yeah, I had Lonzo high.
Yeah,
he was the
ridiculous
only
amount.
rookie that I had really high.
At a ridiculous amount. I mean, he was 10. You had him easily we had him as the best rookie just because you had him at 10. I don't know about the Mavericks though. I don't think they're god awful. I think
No,
I think they
I
I don't
think
think they're a
again, they're-
playoff team because of
And
the
I mean,
West.
Right.
The one thing I do want to throw out there with Dennis Smith is Dave had him 16, I had him 19, you had him 20.
I know.
So that's where we had them respectively for
I'm
at
talking
least 10.
strictly about
And
Lonzo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ranking him as a top
Lonzo
10.
I had as a top 10. Take it or leave it.
You overrated him.
Okay.
But with the Mavericks, I just with the Western
they
Conference.
play team ball. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
get 30 wins. It's just a question of like, is it going to be 31, 32, 33, 34, 35?
Well, and we saw
It's
that they
somewhere in
had a
that range,
really
probably.
nice run, but then they were like, "Oh shit, we're getting too good."
It was
we had
it was that
too hot of a
balance
streak.
back and forth. I'll never forget that Reddit thread. It was like, if we're going for tanking, this is how many games we need to lose. If we're going for the playoffs, this is how many games we need to win. It was that balance. Every win loss, it would be one or the other was highlighted.
Well, and I think we kind of probably underrated Nerlens because Nerlens wasn't that high. But then again, we looked at the centers and we were like, all of these guys can be really high.
they're so close with centers. Yeah.
Nerlens has a lot of potential there. I mean, if Dirk is able to play, not like a 38-year-old.
When we watched him actually
Dirk could be fairly
healthy
high.
for that section of the season, like if he can continue to be healthy at that extended age, yeah,
And
that's a good team.
Yogi Ferrell did ball out, and if he's not able to ball out, then he's probably going to fall in the six-man boot. It's not like we criminally overrated him. If Dennis Smith is able to ball out, then he's going to jump up those rankings. And Wesley Matthew, I mean, he's at 3, but we saw West be a really good fifth role or fifth position when he was with the Trailblazers and be a nice 3-and-D guy.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think the
We got a
Mavericks.
little Seth Curry.
I think the Maverick or Seth Curry he could plug in. So I think the Mavericks. I'm not too thinking. I'm not looking at them at 16 and be
They're,
like, oh,
they're
we
nothing that's
overrated them.
gonna blow us out of the water, but I think they're a solid team, and I think you can see where they're going as a team. And I think they're middle of the road. They're not a playoff team. They're just in that like not total trash, not a playoff team.
The one that jumps out to me that is an interesting team, and I know we've mentioned this in the rankings.
Is it the Kings?
No,
I love the
that's
Kings.
that's a team where I
That was
think
the
will
team.
do
That was
better.
the team I was about to bring
I
up.
was going to say the Jazz because of now
be-
that they lose. Like I know we mentioned the Gordon Hayward in many of our rankings, but they're a team to where it's like, hey, maybe they're at the lower end of these 10 teams because they lose Gordon Hayward. Yeah, Rodney Hood. You were high on Rodney Hood, expecting
guys
him
were.
to
It's
jump.
Time for
very
him
low.
to step
Jumping
in.
Joe Ingles, is he going to be able
Jumping
to
Joe Ingles.
step up?
I do
This
like
is a
that.
team that could fall.
Rodney Hood was completely underrated, and Joe Ingles was severely overrated. So honestly, they're balanced out, and I think 17's fine for
And
them.
Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know where
What
their
does he
Rubio
offense.
was low.
I don't
He
know
was
if
low.
where their offense is going to come from because asking Rodney Hood to do exactly what Gordon Hayward did scoring
That's
wise,
not gonna work.
It's a lot.
Hood's
it's not gonna
good,
happen.
but it's
He's not going to score 23
that's what
right
I'm
away.
saying. Yeah.
So I mean, it's something where I don't know if the Jazz are. I think the Jazz might be the second worst team in the second third, and that's just because I think it's going to take for them time to adjust with Gordon Hayward out.
Who do you think is going to be the worst then?
The Kings.
Going to be the Kings?
I think the
Are they
Kings.
just all hype? No, just nothing to back
I
up?
don't
much
know if it's about
potential.
I don't know if it's
I know,
about all
right?
hype.
Wooden Award winner. Put some respect on that
I
name.
think the Kings are going in a great position. We've talked about the Kings highly,
Yep.
but we might be thinking too high of them. And this might be very similar to the Timberwolves last year, where the Timberwolves were a top 5 team for us last year, and they had a lot of young talent.
Just wait.
But they weren't able to come together.
Just
so
wait.
I think it's just something with the Kings that maybe it won't all come together right away. And yes, they had a good end to the season with most of the same personnel, but adding George Hill, adding Xander Randolph, maybe that actually takes away from what they should be doing and going strictly youth. So I don't know
like
if
the mix. I honestly do. I think
I do too.
adding in
But
some
I'm just
savvy
saying.
veterans is fantastic.
It might be the wrong mix, and they might figure it out too late.
I
Which
think
gives them like 27
Potential.
they could be an 8 seed.
No,
No,
I-
they're not a playoff
they're
team.
not a playoff team.
I think they could.
But-
they,
No
they
way.
could be in the mix for that's the high end.
no way.
That's like the absolute high end.
That's
the ceiling.
if everything clicks right
Yeah,
away
that's
and
the
continues to
ceiling
click
this
for 82
team.
games.
That's the ceiling.
It's I don't know about
the
that.
playoffs in the
you're building
West
you're
is
building that
very
ceiling
hard.
too high.
I don't think
You're
so.
building the 20-foot ceiling where
I'm not saying
every
they're
other
going to hit the ceiling. It's not the roof. The ceiling is not the roof, depending on how other people tell
Yeah.
you're building a skyscraper where it's all one flats.
I love the Kings. I'll gush about the Kings another show, but like this is a team that I think it is. They have a lot of young potential. They've got some great veterans to mix in. You didn't even mention Vince Carter. another.
No, I didn't.
NBA
We didn't even
professional-
rank Vince Carter because
exactly. He's like an eighth man, a ninth
yeah.
man, or something. But again, it's a team that's going to find their starting core. They're going to find their bench core. I think there's going to be a lot of experimenting. It won't win. It won't lead to a lot of wins, but you will find your team by the end of the season. You'll know exactly what they're going to be.
And out of these teams in the Western Conference that are in these, which ones are playoff teams?
The Pelicans scare the shit out of me.
Well,
What do you mean by scare the shit out of you?
Like, they could be really good.
Do you think that they will be, though?
I think it's going to depend on a lot on how they use Rondo and Drew together, and if they can find anyone to be consistently at the 3 and be healthy. I think Anthony Davis plus Boogie is the most disgusting 4 or 5 in the world.
And the thing
in the history of the NBA.
and the
about
thing
that.
like this,
Name a better 4 or 5 in the
Tim
history of
Duncan,
the
David Robinson.
God damn you. But although, actually, I would say
that was a
Anthony
national.
Davis.
That was a national championship.
I would take
But
Tim Duncan,
Finals
Anthony Davis,
championship.
Boogie, David Robinson.
David Robinson was ridiculous.
He was offensively, yes.
Tim Duncan
but
and David
Boogie-
Robinson won a finals
I agree.
together.
But different NBA. But I'm just saying, I don't want to get too.
I will take.
Finals.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing
I will
with
take.
that. But
I would say Tim Duncan, David Robinson, AD, and then DeMarcus Cousins.
I'm on the different end of that one because David Robinson, while an offensive monster, he doesn't have anything compared to the athleticism and the hands of Boogie and Anthony Davis.
That's so wrong. It's just so wrong. He was a 8-time All-Defensive player. I don't care if we're talking about a guy who hasn't played in years.
Go ahead,
He has
Sean, preach.
he has
I'm just comparing as far as compared to the others. Is there a better defender than Anthony Davis? No.
I would say Tim Duncan might be better than Anthony Davis
Defensively?
defensively. Tim Duncan was really good. David Robinson was also unreal.
I understand that.
One of the last players to ever have a 5x5 in NBA history was David Robinson.
A 5x5, I'm sorry, is a fairly meaningless stat. It's cool.
Cool.
But we talk about it all the
David,
time.
all right,
It's
hold on.
cool.
David Robinson, from 1995 to 1989, averaged over 3 blocks a game.
Yeah.
He was stupid.
Being tall is hard.
Being tall
I'm
and
just gonna be a
athletic
jerk
like
right
David
now.
You're gonna
Robinson
say-
was.
You mean being tall is easy? That's what you mean.
I was being
right?
sarcastic
Yeah,
when I
okay.
said it. So yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I think you're severely under David Robinson,
I
who
think so,
once
too.
averaged
I might be.
30
Hall of
points a
Famer.
game,
Hall of
30
Famer.
points a game, 3.3 blocks a game, 1.7
Anthony
steals,
Davis or Boogie
4
won't
point.
be?
Hey,
I mean, I don't know. We got to see their careers.
I'm just saying right now, I am so high on Anthony Davis and Boogie that
I think you're too
I
high.
think Tim Duncan is definitely the one. I mean, he's fantastic. He's the best of his position ever been. But Anthony Davis and Boogie, just that tandem brings more of an all-around versatile game to today's it just works.
Here's something
It's
I
just
want
gonna
to
work.
bring up, and this is going to kind of relate to next week, relate to the next segment, but there are teams within this area, the Kings, the Mavericks, the Pelicans, even the Nuggets. Those teams, maybe the fan base is like, you know what, we can get the 8 seed. And the reason why they're thinking that is one team that I think is going to drop off from this bracket.
And who is that?
Is the Blazers.
You think they're going to
Blazers-
drop off?
They're gonna get worse?
Blazers were a 500 team last year. I do not think that they will be. I don't think they'll be better than the 8th seed. I think that they could be. If it's 9th, they're still out of the playoffs. I think that this is a team that might drop off this year, which gives the Pelicans, gives the Mavericks, gives the Nuggets, gives the Kings, whichever team you're going to go up, a chance to get that playoff spot.
No
Here's the
shit.
difference, though. If the Blazers go off and they fall off, is what I'm saying. The one team, and yes, we're going to talk about them next because they're in our top 10 because we haven't mentioned them. Timberwolves take that spot. Then if you're the teams in this rankings, Nuggets, Pelicans, Mavericks, and Kings, what happens with you? Because someone's got to fall out from last year in order to give them a free spot to the playoffs.
Dame, CJ, and Nurkic, and you're saying they're going to get worse.
Well,
That's tough.
And do you agree with you? Because I know you're high on the Blazers. You completely disagree with that, right?
I disagree that they're going to fall off. I'm
and
still
by
concerned
fall,
for
I
that
mean
8th
just like
seed.
I just mean a 9th seed.
I think
I'm
the
not
8th
saying
seed's going to
it's
be a
like
battle this
they
year. I think
fall
there's
to the
9.
end.
I think there's like 9 teams that can compete for that 8th
10
seed.
teams, I think they could probably compete. 'Cause,
10
I mean,
if everybody's healthy.
it's going to be interesting to see, but I think the worst teams out of this list are all from the East. It's probably I would throw the Jazz in there too. Jazz
Are you
and
gonna
Kings.
say I'm surprised nobody's taking a shot at my Sixers because they are entirely hyping potential.
Yeah, I was gonna
There
say
is-
the
there is
76ers.
no traction.
I would say the 76ers
Joel
would be
played
more closer to the
25
bottom
games,
But there's no back-to-backs, Ricky.
Ben Simmons hasn't.
so he'll still get injured.
Ben Simmons hasn't. There wasn't a lot of back-to-backs in college. Joel Embiid usually banged up. Ben Simmons usually banged up. Markelle Fultz hasn't played an NBA game, even though he's looked fantastic. Dario, we don't know how he will adjust in his second season if people can really figure it out. And maybe he was just really playing against garbage time and garbage teams.
I won't argue that.
I mean, in Rocco, can he be consistent enough to be a great, fifth guy on that? And then JJ Redick, was it mostly because of Chris Paul's help and his great ability to pass? Or was it, just JJ Redick being a good shooter? Everything has to come together, and can Brett Brown bring that all together? I think that's something that's going to be interesting. And I think that the 76ers, they definitely can hit that ceiling and definitely make the playoffs and be a 5 seed maybe in the East.
I think if they hit on 2 of their guys, they're in the playoffs.
I would agree with that. But then again, they have to hit that.
But they've got like 8 who could be really good.
The East is also
Really?
terrible.
Really good.
You think that
Not stars.
You think that if JJ Redick hits his peak, that he's going to take the 76ers to the playoffs?
If JJ puts up 21 a night, I mean...
JJ Redick is not putting up 21 a night.
It's not that
This
unthinkable.
isn't Duke anymore.
It's not that unthinkable.
Well,
It is
and I
very
mean,
unthinkable. It's not going to happen.
I know.
The thing that helps the Sixers out too is
The East?
The
East.
I mentioned like the West, where it's like maybe at the worst one playoff team falls off.
Yeah.
Maybe the Jazz. So okay, there's 2, but in the East, I could see the Bulls not being a playoff team this year. That's
Easy.
1.
That's very easy.
The Pacers not being one. That's
Correct.
2. The Hawks not being one. There's 3. That's 3 open spots for teams like the Heat.
And then if
teams
anything
like
goes
the Hornets,
wrong-
teams like the Sixers to make that jump into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, and even the Pistons too, who are higher than the
Yeah.
Hornets as well. So I would agree with that. And then and looking at the Western Conference side, I mean, the Grizzlies can probably fall off. I don't know about the Blazers. I say the Grizzlies will probably be at the lower half of the teams that could make it in the
Like I said,
playoffs.
they'll drag dead bodies into the playoffs. They'll just make it happen.
The Blazers are probably in there, but I would say Pelicans, like Dave mentioned, can make the playoffs. Nuggets can make the playoffs. Mavericks can make the playoffs. Jazz will probably fall out or at least go down lower from where they were at the 4 or 5 last year. I think it's going to be more competitive with the Western Conference, and most of these teams lower here will be fighting for a 7 or 8 seed. It's going to be fun.
I got a question for you guys. Another one to round it out.
Final one before we go.
All right. Heat and Nuggets both had amazing second half seasons last year. Which one's going to carry more momentum into this year?
Nuggets, because they brought Paul Millsap, and their younger players like Jamal Murray are going to get better. So, and they did
the
lose.
words right out of my
They did
mouth.
lose Danilo. However, I feel like Wilson Chandler will be able to replace most of that. I think their boy that I'm totally forgetting, their 6th man that we had, will really be able to step up. Will Barton, and then obviously Jamal Murray there as well. And I think that team is really poised to make the playoffs. And I think Jokic finally being comfortable in that position, having Paul Millsap to play off of, and then obviously having the guys and the role players around him that we mentioned, I think that can definitely be a team that can make the playoffs. So I would say the Nuggets are more inclined to be there because, yes, Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Goran Dragic has looked fantastic. It's really, can Tyler Johnson really be a successful NBA player? Can Justice Winslow finally come up and be successful? I mean, they have Dragic, they have Whiteside. I'm probably forgetting one else, other player.
And the thing with the Heat,
Not really.
which
Dion Waiters.
Oh, yeah. Waiters
Waiters
counting.
Can Waiters do that again? I mean, really, there's a lot of what ifs with the Heat.
the thing that was interesting though about the Heat is like early on it was they needed to take the year to kind of gel together, and it was the late season run that we saw from that. So it's like, are they going to be able to start right away because they already went through that and this team didn't go through? Because really the big thing last year was getting over the Wade leaving.
Yeah, and I think that they will come in more poised, but it's really, can those guys do exactly what they did last year
But I'm
in
with
the second
you.
half?
I like the Nuggets, but I wouldn't count out the Heat in the East.
Yeah. Oh, I think that he can definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Especially in the Eastern Conference. Anyways, I do want to just mention on our poll right now on Twitter, we have a poll pinned to our profile. Which one is a better duo, AD and Boogie, or the Admiral and
I'm going to get a lot
Timmy?
of hate from San Antonio.
So-
the state of Texas is going to hate me.
So go check that out and vote there, and we'll see who was right, Dave or I.